The web has changed a lot over the past years, and it's continuously changing. We're happy to have with us tonight Gidon from W3C, and he's going to talk about how we can further work to transform the web together and be part of this change. Bernard?
Are you still alive?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So I have a first question for you. Bonsoir, j'espère que vous allez bien. Perfect. Who knows W3C? Okay. So for the people who knows what is and who is W3C, with the following information will provide you some update, and for the other it will provide you the basic information. So, as you know, the web was created in 1989 and by a guy named Tim Berners-Lee, who developed the concept of the web of pages. And to protect his invention, to avoid to have this invention part of the commercial standards organization, he decided to create around his invention a consortium of industries, players, to be able to work all together around this invention to expand it to a next level of application. So W3C is roughly the organization behind the web, who is developing all the standards that you use there today. So thank you to be a big user of our technology, because I suppose you use the web every day. So the web is there. And the main target of the W3C community is to develop again the web to be able to provide additional features around this marvelous technology, to be able to have additional systems and additional applications. So the web, as you know, have already several applications that we use on a day by day, but we consider that the web has already made a big revolution in terms of the IT industry, but we are ready now to have another one, another level of development. What is the Open Web Platform? It's the generic name that we are using for the W3C technology. It is roughly a technology environment that provides for all the developers the basic functions for them to develop their application. W3C doesn't provide any software. W3C provides all the standards on top of which the software developer develops their application. And the other important point is all the technology developed part of the W3C consortium are completely royalty-free. That means all the technology that you are able to use or develop on the W3C recommendation, you are completely sure that you will not have any company requesting some money at the end of the year. So you are completely sure that you are able to develop your application without any constraint. And the other key point, I'm sure all the people know, is HTML5. HTML5 is the result of these W3C activities. Well, one of them, because we have several other technologies. So how do we work? Roughly, we accept input from all over the world, and we provide the result of all the activity to all the people free of charge. And our focus is to be able to develop technology that will be able to provide additional component or additional feature for new activities or new application on top of the web. So all the technology are developed part of what we call working groups. Working groups is an entity, virtual entity in W3C who is developing a specific technology. HTML5, for example, was a working group, the biggest one we have, of course. And part of this working group, you have people from each company who are members of W3C. So we have 4 main domains in our organization to cover various types of technology or usage, from accessibility to privacy to security to HTML5 to several other technologies you can imagine. And again, we have a very strong royalty-free policy in place That means all the members who are working in a working group sign a commitment that all the result of the working group will be free of IP rights. That means we are completely sure that the result of the activity will be available for all. And sometimes we provide also several W3C standards to the ISO environment. For example, around accessibility, we have several W3C technology which are now ISO standards. So several numbers to illustrate what we have done in the last 20 years. So all our technology are translated, of course, in various types of languages, and I think now it's a little bit more than 60 different languages in the world. We have also a lot of liaison with other organizations because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we try to have connection with other organizations who are developing other technologies. And in terms of numbers, the people involved in W3C, the number of people involved are completely crazy. We have now a little bit that more 70,000 people in our mailing list. We have millions of hits per day on our website. And we have already disclosed more than 220 standards in the world since 20 years. And we have roughly around 60 working groups working in parallel on several technologies, which represents roughly around 1,800, 2,000 people working full-time on the web technology. It's okay? You follow me? Yes. Sure? Okay. So what is the value proposition? Because you can imagine for this type of event why W3C is there to present what we are doing. I want to highlight the main point about the participation in W3C, and after I will cover why it could be interesting for the Romanian industry to be involved. So first, we are an international organization. We don't have any specific country-driven part of our activity. We have a very strong community, of course. We have already a very good track of success. All the technology that you use day after day on the web are based on the W3C activities. We are completely neutral. That means we are not under the domination of a company or a state. So it's a very open community with a lot of freedom to launch what they want. And we have a very large type of participation from the startup environment to the industry, to the academia, to the research center. So you have a very different type of people there who are very interesting to discuss with because sometimes it could provide you with also several ideas. So in terms of the organization, W3C is hosted by 4 hosts. One is the MIT in US. I'm sure you are aware about the name. The other one is where I am based in Europe, in France, where we have the EMEA operation. We have also another host in Japan, in the Keio University, and another host in Beijing University in China. These 4 hosts support completely the organization, and we are a very light organization. We have only 80 people full-time, part of the W3C staff. And you can see on the European map, you have a lot of small points, because in the EMEA region, Europe, Middle East, Africa, we have launched in several years a very big development of local offices, and we have in several countries in Europe local offices who are there to manage the local community and to be able to organize the exchange of information from the country to the global W3C community. So we have a little bit more than 400 members as today. These 400 members represent completely all the sector of the activities, from Boeing to Disney, to Facebook, to Cisco, but you have also the automotive market, you have also the bank. So all the industries are there and working all together. All the browsers are there, for example. And so all the industry is there and working together in terms of new technology. Some names here that you can recognize. 401 pages, it's a little bit difficult, but part of my presentation, you have a link where you are able to click on to have the list of the members. So in terms of what we are doing in terms of new activity, in terms of update, what's happened today, until 5 years ago, the main activity of WCC was around the core web technologies. And what we have seen in the last 5 years is a lot of vertical industries who told us, look, the web is everywhere, but for our industry we need something else. Something is missing around the web technologies to be able to use it in a very large way, part of our business. So the first activity that we have covered was the web and TV activity, and after we had the digital publishing activity, and after we had the automotive industry, and now we are moving also with the weight payment activity, where we have launched 1.5 years ago an activity to develop some new standards, and we are in process to launch a Web of Things activity, which is roughly the Internet of Things environment, but for the web applications. So all these activities represent new working groups that we are put in place and in which several companies are part of. So for you in Romania, how could you participate? Of course, the key point for a company, I don't speak about the size because we have members with 1 employee, but the main point is to be involved in the discussion. If you have ideas on a specific subject, your voice will be completely the same that a large organization. So to be involved in the WCC community, that means you will be involved in some technology discussion. Sometimes you can lead some discussion if you have a nice idea. The key point is to have the support of the other members who will tell us, yes, it's a good idea, we want to support it. So the other thing is to sponsor several WCC programs that we have already in the pipe, to be part of some business group, which are lighter group, not especially involved in the technology development, but more collecting use case and like an incubator of technology requirements. And we have launched also some community groups. Some community groups are completely free of access. You can set up your community group in 1 hour. And the community groups is again there to be able to collect requirements from the market about new ideas that we need to work on. And of course the participation on several workshops and working groups that we're organizing on day after day. So in terms of your benefits to be part of this, I think the key point is for you as a startup to be able to have some networking capability with other companies. For the moment, we have a little bit around 10% of our total members community who are startups. We have launched a startup program 3 years ago, and it was very successful. And these startups are part of the community, and of course one of the big benefits for them is to be able to meet all the other people. So they are able to meet Microsoft, Facebook, Cisco, and all the big names, but also middle-sized companies with which sometimes they organize some business. And sometimes, in the last year, I think 2 startups was acquired by another member. So for us it's not good, but we have this opportunity also. The other big point is you have early access to the next technology trend. Because of course we are discussing today the technology that will be deployed in 2-3 years time frame. So sometimes for several companies it's a big benefit to be able to have access to this technology evolution and to be able to anticipate part of their own business development strategy. Of course, the leverage to achieve the broad adoption on different software and device. Education is also a big point that several members told us that is a key point, because you are able to learn a lot of things, part of this technology exchange and technology discussion, and sometimes it's valuable. And promotion, because several companies, especially the startups of course, use their W3C membership participation as a key flag in terms of the reputation at the worldwide level. So, come back to the training story. We have also launched, in parallel of our regular development activity, training activity since 5-6 years. At the beginning, it was a platform dedicated to provide for a small number of people, around 100, with a teacher attached. This initiative was launched with the support of the European Commission, part of several projects that we are working on with them. But what we have done at the beginning of this year, we have launched the concept of the massive training online with a MOOC platform named edX. I don't know if you're familiar with this name. And I can tell you that we have launched the first training around HTML5. It was in May, and we had 78,000 online students. We have done a second session in September, and the last number I received is 68,000 attendees for this training. So these trainings are here free of charge. Is the principle of MOOC. Is to provide the technology information and to have a teacher in the back end to provide answer to all the students. So it's also part of our mission to provide all this technology information to the mass market and also at the worldwide level, because we have a number of people from various countries in the world, and they are able to receive this information in an easy way. So W3C, what means for you, it's your platform. You must understand that W3C is the organization where all the company can work together. And also it could be the platform for you, Romanian industry, to be involved in, to highlight your knowledge, your expertise, and to provide several ideas. It's up to you to push your ideas and to have potentially some standards around these ideas. The key point is up to you to be involved. You don't have any limit, you don't have any restriction. Up to you to be involved and to discuss, to launch ideas, and to be able to be part of this community. Because it's a worldwide community, as I told you, so from you in terms of the Romanian industry, I think it's also a key point to have a visibility at the worldwide level and to have contact with people in China, in Russia, in Argentina, in Brazil, in US, of course. So it's an open window to the world. That's it. I am on time? Ooh. Any question? Now I will check if you're still alive. No question?
Any questions?
I have a question for you, a quiz.
We have one question over there.
Okay.
One question. With so many parties involved, like so many companies, what about the speed? Is there bureaucracy? Is there a long time for standards to be adopted?
The development of standards is not limited with bureaucracy, because we don't have, with a team of 80 people, you can imagine that you don't have a very big bureaucracy. But roughly, when we create a working group, and from the beginning to have a final recommendation with the standards is between 1.5 years to 2 years, roughly. Sometimes it's quicker. For example, for the do not track standards that we have launched, it was done in 8 months. We are working on the way payment checkout standards for the moment. We expect to have a first standard after 1 month and a quarter, roughly. So between 1 to 2 years from the initial setup of the working group to the final, it's roughly 1 to 2 years. But several companies involved in working groups, when they see this development in progress, they begin to work on their own product, of course. Because to be on time, when the standard is released, they say, yeah, we have the product. Of course, it's a big advantage in terms of the market position. Any other question? Yeah.
Hello, my name is Alex. I saw on your slide something related to payment standards.
Yeah.
Can you give us just, some...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Related to this?
So we have launched this web payment activity beginning of last year. And what we have today in terms of the status update, we have two groups in parallel. One interest group which is there to collect use case, to collect technical requirements from the industry. And we have set up, and we have launched 1 month ago, a working group and this first charter, because each working group has a charter and a timeline. This working group has a charter to solve the checkout problem. But the idea is to have the user as a wallet with various types of payment, and the merchants as his own payment, and to have an API that discusses between the user and the merchant to speed the process of the payment, because in terms of the payment card abandon, we have a rate around 60% today. All is not related to the payment, of course, because several people discover that they have some other additional expense around what they want to purchase. But it's a big mess for a lot of people to be able to pay on the web. So this working group is working on this. And now the interest group, which is there to collect information and use case, is already working on several new things. The key point is security. It's really a key point that is already pushed by the automotive industry initiative that we have in the pipeline. And they are working already on this, and I think they will launch a working group related to the security around web payment. And there is some other subject already in progress, part of this interest group, based on the people who are joining and provide us their input. We have banks, we have merchants, we have regulators, we have governments, we have credit cards, all these type of companies involved. This answer your question? Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much, Bernard, for your time here. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, but I do hope that you're going to be around and answer the questions of people in the networking part.